I want to pivot over. Of course, we do have Coach Hester here today, of course, to talk about IU East. So, Coach, yeah, like I said, like he said earlier, I've been to a couple of practices this year. My broadcast partner has helped him on the social media side of things. Coach, when you look at this year, last year you brought in a lot of people from the portal. This year you were able to bring in some freshmen. There's a good mix of old and new on this team. A couple of practices in now, a good amount in now. Talk about the chemistry. Talk about how you feel about this team at this moment in time.
First, since you mentioned it, Nakori Hogue is with us now doing our social media stuff and some other forms of media because it's what he wants to do and get into. And fortunately, he was able to join us this year full time to do that, and he's doing a phenomenal job. So if you get a chance to follow us on Instagram, he's got some stuff coming out on YouTube. We have a IUE MBB on YouTube now too. That's great to follow. We've got to get to 50 subscribers in order for him to be able to broadcast live from the road when we do when he does games. So if anybody out there can give us a subscribe on that, it'd be great so we can get there. We're only 20 away, so we just started this Wednesday or something like that. So that'll be a big lift. But back to your question, Isaiah. I think we're ahead in some aspects and behind in others. I think we are currently probably where we've been about January from the last couple of years right now. As far as how far ahead, part of that is because we had 8 returners, which was awesome. That guys wanted to come back and be a part of this again. Because in today's day and age, that's rare. And they've accelerated the growth. I think it's allowing us to focus on some stuff that might seem like we're really nitpicking and being, in the minutia of stuff, but that's what it takes to be great. And that's our focus. We're not trying to be out there trying to be good. We're trying to be great. That's our standard, and that's what we're holding them to. In anything, we tell them that all the time about how you do anything is how you do everything, and everything from the details of what they do with us to the details of what they're doing in the classroom and how they're going about presenting themselves out on campus and in the community and stuff like that is huge. And that's stuff that we haven't been able to get to in the last couple of years because we haven't even been able to figure out inner third from outer third of the court. It's been stuff like that. So this has been a refreshing, flashback to the days when we were able to coach a little bit more and not have to continually babysit. But so it's been good.
And I want to talk. Obviously, there were some coaching changes as well, right? Bishop Smith coming in, one of the best basketball players for IU East of all time, without question. And this coaching staff, and I said it to Nakori. I think bringing in some younger coaches, no offense to Rigby, obviously, and the other coaches that were there, but I think it brought in a good culture change, right? I think Bishop brings a different energy. I think he brings in something that's more relatable to the younger guys, and he knows you very well, right? And I think that's the one thing I've picked up on practice where he's like, hey, I played under the guy for 4 years. If he doesn't trust you, he's not going to play you, right? And I think the energy he has brought, it feels like there's a different type of motivation with this group, and I think Bishop has been a very huge part of that because he was there very recently as well.
Well, I think, the older you get and the more you spend time in certain places, the more probably filtered you get on how you say things to players. And myself and Coach Rigby have both probably gotten a little too filtered because we know there's some sensitivity to stuff on campus and stuff like that where, Bishop comes in and has no filter. And I think that's a good thing. And it's kind of taken mine away a little bit, too, because that's the way it should be. We should be able, we've always been honest with our players. You know, we tell them exactly from the time we recruit them until the time that they leave. We're going to tell you where you stand. We're going to let you know. If anybody says they don't know, they weren't listening, because I mean, we are very blunt and honest about it. I mean, to the fact, I don't know if you noticed up on the wall, I even put up a depth chart.
No, I was going to ask you about that, right? Because that's something that hadn't been done in the years I've been there.
I've done it. I used to do it back in the day. And
yeah,
it's like, I think, you know, again, the transparency of where do you stand, you know, and if you don't understand why, I mean, one thing from our root stats, the things that we stat in practice that we value, stuff that takes no talent, you know, closing out correctly, keeping people out of the middle, contesting shots, rebounding the right way, being in the right spots off the ball, the things that we value, that we know for 100% certainty gives you the best chance to be successful in this game as a team. And we stat it, and that's up there. So you know exactly where you stand on how you execute stuff. Then we put a depth chart up there, and we were real about it. You know, we're not taking this guy out and putting you in necessarily in his spot. We're going to move him to a certain different spot and bring, you know, and move this slide pieces around, because you're not capable of being trusted to be out there for any sustainable amount of time and us continue to be successful. And so, you know, and again, we tell them that, and sometimes that seems blunt, and it seems, you know, but it's better them knowing that and hearing it and being able to work on it. And we tell them all the time, we film practice every day. So it's like, you know, you have all this opportunity to show us why we should play, why we should trust you. Because all we're doing as coaches is trying to find reasons not to. Because if we can find the guys, we can't find a reason to not have them out there. Guess what? We're not taking you out, you know? And so it's like, you've got all these chances to do it. Don't continually put stuff on film that tells us we can't trust you, you know? Yeah. So, and fortunately, even the guys that aren't as good at it right now are better than some of the best ones we've had in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. So that's a good sign, you know, that even they're starting to get it, because we tell them, you know, we're going to win as a team. We're going to lose as a team. Everything affects everybody. So we can't have this group doing this at our standard, and then this group down here not doing it our standard. We need to get everybody to the standard, you know. And if everybody's doing it to the standard, you make it really tough on us to decide who gets those minutes. You know, we did an exercise that I do every year where I give them a scrap piece of paper. I tear off a corner of paper, and I said, write down the number of minutes that would make you happy this year that you get to play. And they all do it. And we do our classroom session at the end. I've had somebody add it up, and how many minutes are able to be played in a college basketball game? There's 200 total minutes, right? That you can play. Well, we had 328 on there is what that added up to. I said, so understand, you know, that's way too many. So it's not going to happen like that. Yeah. What are you putting on that daily film to tell us that you're worthy of getting the minutes that you need to get? Or what are you what are you putting on that film to tell us you can't get those minutes, you know? Yeah. And so that's, again, just putting it out there for them. We want transparency. We want them to understand where they stand. And we had one guy that wasn't on the depth chart at all. Name wasn't even mentioned on the depth chart. He's had a couple of, ever since we put that on there, he's starting to do more of what we're asking him to do within his role. And he's going to earn his name up there. I got to put one up tonight, and he's going to get his name up there. And, you know, that's a step forward in the right direction, you know, and that's what we want them to do. We want them to take this information. You're either going to fix the things we ask you to do, or you're going to continue, you know, the insanity role of doing the same thing over and over and expecting something different to happen. And so, you know, we just want to be clear about all that stuff with them. So,
and folks, if you scan the QR code, I swapped the QR code out real quick. If you scan the one up in the top left, it'll actually take you to the IU East men's basketball page, Instagram. Make sure to go give them a follow if you scan that QR code. Daryl, Ramon, if you guys got any questions for Coach Hester, floor is yours.
I'll say, man, I got probably like 75, Coach. I'll probably call you this week sometime and catch. I don't want to bore everybody with my minutia.
Yes, you are boring. That is true.
Ramon looking at the mirror again.
Just
Oh, I
wanna let
can't
you know.
stand you. I can't stand you.
You see some
Coach.
Isaiah's put up some of the stuff that Nicore's done on Instagram, and I mean, he's doing a phenomenal job. I think we had in the last since he took it over the last 2 weeks of August, I think we've had almost 190,000 views. It's been absolutely incredible. So, he's doing a great job.
I just followed.
There you go.
Yeah,
there we go.
That's big time, man.
That's what we do.
Yeah, so make
Can
sure
these guys scroll down a little bit right there?
Go ahead.
So these individual videos of the guys with the backdrop there. We also have a team store through BSN that's open for another week. That if you go on, they're making their pitch why you should go on and buy something, Red Wolf stuff, and put their number on it or name on it, because they get a kickback off of that. That's part of their NIL stuff that they're wanting to do. So it's a chance for them to make a sales pitch, kind of real world business stuff, that elevator speech,
I like that.
So to speak. So some of them are a little more energetic than others.
Yes,
but it's
very true.
But it's fun. And I got one on my son on there. Give my son a shout out. He got to interview Tony Kanaan at the Boys and Girls Club Smart Futures dinner.
Nice.
It's the second time he's gotten to be the interviewer at that. He did that. He got to interview Desmond Bain a couple years ago when he was about 11 years old, and now he got to do Tony Kanaan and his wife. Actually, I should say Lauren Kanaan and her husband.
Yeah,
that was the way it was presented at the Smart Futures dinner, which is kind of funny, but it was good. It was good. So
Coach,
a lot of stuff on there.
Coach, go back to that clip, Isaiah. I gotta ask Coach a question real quick. Go back to the Tony Kanaan one.
Okay, go ahead.
Coach, can you share who Tony Kanaan is? Because I bet some of our viewers probably aren't familiar with who Tony Kanaan is.
Tony Kanaan is a very successful and very renowned IndyCar driver. He is retired now, but still is involved with McLaren Motorsports and heavily involved with them, actually. And he came. His wife Lauren is a Cambridge City, Indiana native, which is in Wayne County, and so she was the honoree. But she does stuff for IndyCar. She's in the media. She does a lot of interviews and stuff like that. She, you hear her on stage, you know why. I mean, she's very polished and stuff like that. And then Tony came with her, and he was kind of the entertainment section. He was a funny dude. Gave a dance and with the Boys and Girls Club kids and everything too. So it was really funny. It was good. It was a great dinner, great event. My wife now is the chief operating officer of Boys and Girls Club of Wayne County. Just a recent position in the last couple of weeks that she took after leaving campus. She was here as the director of campus life for 18 years and took that job and really believes in the mission of the Boys and Girls Club, which is an awesome mission, and they do some great work. And both of my sons are fortunate to be a part of Boys and Girls Club too, and it's a pretty cool thing.
Good deal. I like that.
Any questions, Ramon or Daryl?
No.
Just when we going, fellas, when we going to the games.
Hey, I'm interested, Isaiah. I'm interested in your opinion, since you've been to practices and stuff.
Yeah.
What is? I haven't really asked you. What's your take on what you see so far compared to years past?
I think I really enjoyed last year too, right? But I think the chemistry, we've talked about that a lot in the other sports, especially since I've already done the media days for everybody else, right? I think the teams chemistry wise that I always thought were the strongest was volleyball. I think every year since I've been there, I think nobody's team chemistry had matched what volleyball had the last couple of years. Now, granted, that team graduated like 6 seniors this year, so that group had been together for a long time and they had gelled really well. But it really does feel like with this year's team, and even when talking to Toby, right? And Toby's been there for as long as I have, so he would know better than I would for me just being a spectator. But it does feel like everyone's willing to hold each other accountable. A freshman's willing to tell a senior, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, and just keep each other not in check, but you get what I'm trying to say, holding each other accountable, and not it being, man, I'm a senior, you're not going to talk to me like that, anything else. Like, I think some of the best examples of that is at the center position, right, with Terrell and Sean. I think that relationship right there, I think that'll continue to grow as the season progresses. I think the chemistry this year is off the charts compared to the last couple of years. Guys are willing to hold themselves accountable. Everyone's in there working out. Like, usually, when I'm up there all day, Mikey always goes in there and gets shots up if the gym's open, right? And I think the extra work's being put in not only by the seniors, if they're able to, because obviously injuries happen, but even the younger guys all the way down to the freshmen. I think you can see the talent, and it's being worked on in practice, right? And I think Bishop, he brought up a good point about Mikey, where he's trying to run these sets, whereas in years past, some of these guys would just go into practice, get shots up, and think, I'm doing well, but they're not at least trying to execute what's being put out in front of them. So just from seeing a couple of practices and being there, I think the biggest difference for me is just the mental attitude towards this season. These guys want to be competitive, and I think they want to right the wrong from last year and make a run in that conference tournament.
Yeah, I think that's good to hear you notice the chemistry, because, that's something we're around it every day. So it's harder for us to pick that stuff out. And I think that, it's something that we have really focused on is spending time together off the court. Mm-hmm. You've got to want to play for each other. And in today's day and age, all the way from travel ball when they're kids all the way through high school, these kids are playing with constantly different people and doing different things all the time. And it's harder for them to lose themselves in the team. And, and there's a lack of trust and other things. And so it's just very refreshing to see that we have, and that was one of the things is recruiting some of these guys that we asked a lot of questions about of their coaches and of them to try to figure out who was capable of assimilating to that mentality, right? And because that's ultimately going to determine how far you're able to go and how good you're able to get, is if they switch from playing for me to playing for us. I think that's the big thing, and we're still working on that. We got some selfish acts that happen sometimes, but not near as they're not playing that way. They're just selfish acts with how they approach something mentally, I should say, not how they're playing on the court. And that's just some of that, most of that is from the freshmen. And so that's their level of maturity and understanding right now. And it's going to get better as the season goes on. And it's something we're actively talking about. But you mentioned Rel and Sean. Those two battle at each other every day,
every practice. And
it's no exaggeration to say we may have had the worst bigs in the country last year. But the difference that Sean and Rel being together and pushing each other, they don't take it easy on each other. They're they almost come to blows every day. And then afterward, they're laughing about it, and they're they're roommates too. So it's like they're inseparable, And so it's like they're just they go at it, they compete hard, but those two have probably grown more than anybody else in our program since summer. And you can see the difference. We couldn't even throw it to Rel last year, but because Sean's out there and he's having to go against it every day, he's improved significantly. Sean's the same way, and both of them are sponges too. So they want to soak everything up, and it's just it's a process, but it's refreshing and fun for us as coaches when we can focus on those types of things, and guys are putting it to work, and you can see that improvement, and you can see them making an effort. Even on film, if they're not doing something right, they're making an effort. You can see they're thinking about it. That's where it becomes fun and becomes enjoyable for everybody. So hopefully we'll put a good product out there this year, and if you guys come, we're gonna, it'll be a great game whenever you do it.
No, I'm excited. Daryl, you had a couple questions. I'd like, if you got some questions, go ahead and ask. It's no problem for me.
Well, I want to just kind of piggyback off what you said, Coach, about your two bigs being roommates and how they go at it, right? I'm so happy you said just that, right? because they're friends off the court, but they are absolutely competitors between those lines, and there's no give, and it's all take, right? So what have you done to kind of empower those two young men, and then how have you seen it spread amongst your lead guards as well, right?
And Daryl, context: one of them's a senior, the other one's a freshman.
That's even better.
Redshirt junior.
Even better.
Redshirt junior.
Even better.
Yeah,
you wouldn't want two freshmen together anyway,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I'm
just to give you a little extra context.
Yeah.
I thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah.
How intentional is that? I guess is what I'm saying.
Intentional
on putting them two together, roommates.
Well, there's 4 of them in a room, so it just happened to work out that way. But they got into it the other day in practice, and Rel was joking about he's going to come home and Sean's going to rip the door off the hinges in his room, and because they were battling. I don't know if you were there that day or not, Isaiah. They were. You would have known if you were.
Yeah. I've been there for a couple instances where it's just like,
Yeah, they get into it. Get into it, and it's those are when that happens. They're teaching moments, right? Mm-hmm. They're teaching moments on both ends of it. Of course, the 18-year-old is much more likely to lose his cool than the older guy, and so it's a chance to talk about how you need to handle adversity, and you need to handle when people are going to do that to you, especially when these kids come from situations where they probably haven't had anybody that's ever talked to them about that, or if they have, maybe they were too young at the time to actually listen and it sink in. Now it's for real, and we've talked a lot about that. We've talked about not reacting emotionally to everything that happens, and I told them the other day, I said, prisons and cemeteries are filled with a lot of people that reacted emotionally to stuff, and that's a scary thought. We're not going to let you end up that way. We're going to help you grow. And again, that goes back to what we talked about earlier. Are people soft on these guys because they don't want them to leave? If you can't take that type of mentorship in your life, I guess, where people don't want to be talked to honestly about things other than just basketball. In the past couple of years, Isaiah, we've had groups that whenever we talked about things, anything that wasn't directly about basketball, it was like it was painful for them. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear anything else. They just want to, how can I get more buckets, coach? That's all they wanted. They didn't want to hear about how to become a better person. They didn't want to learn how to grow as people. And so that was something intentionally we told them in the recruiting process. I said I've got to go back to this because that's what I believe in, and we're going to do it. And if it pains you, don't come here. This is not a good spot for you. But you're going to get more than just basketball. And we try to tell them we're teaching life through basketball. That's our vehicle that we teach it in. And there's a lot of lessons to be had every day for everybody out there, me myself included. I have to, I learn from Bishop sometimes because he's been in the school system. He's been with the middle school kids. He's been with the high school kids that are out there right now, and how you have to deal with them differently and how you have to talk to them differently. He said his mom would always say, hey, you can't talk to them kids in middle school that way. You can't cuss at them. You're going to get fired and everything. And he was like, how many of them have reported me? It was like, because they know that I'm coming from where I'm coming from, and I'm just being real with them. And that's how they talk. And that's what they're going to listen to, and he was like, they know I care about them as people. That's why I can get away with talking to them that way, because that's what means something to them, and it's kind of the, so again, having him there has been beneficial for me too, to get back to that, because I think as I got, you get older and you get more mature and you handle things a little bit differently. Sometimes you got to get back there in the weeds with the young guys and talk to them meet them where they're at, and talk to them where they understand you. And this group is good because I haven't had to lose my mind on them hardly at all. They've responded to the talking. They've responded to the things we've asked them to fix. Again, you see the effort, whether they get it right or not, you see the effort. And that's, as a coach, that's all we can ask for, And so I've been really, really pleasantly surprised and grateful for all that.
Yeah. And I think, well, sorry, I was just going to say, even watching the scrimmages, right? If the play isn't right, you can see there's still the execution there, at least trying to execute it. And I think there's sometimes in the scrimmage where it turns into I'm not going to say backyard ball, but it kind of turns into a bit of freestyling. But I think these last couple scrimmages, now that we're getting closer to the season, you see the plays trying to be executed at a certain level. Would you agree to that? The GameTime Podcast is sponsored by Mack Gadis at State Farm. Whether it's your car, home, or renter's insurance, Mack's got you covered with fast, reliable service and a personal touch that you can trust. His info is on screen right now, so reach out today and see why so many people rely on Mack Gadis. Big thanks to Mack for supporting the GameTime Podcast.
Yeah. Like I said, you see the effort. Like in the past, they didn't care. They just did their own thing.
Those first couple weeks, they were you let them play. I think there was a practice where you let them play like for 70 minutes or something, no breaks, nothing, just let them play. And now we get into the last couple of weeks where that, if you take that film and you put it to the film that we just watched on Friday, or when they play Friday, it's completely different because they're trying to run those different plays that they've been working on now the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. And I mean, we tell them all the time, listen, we're working on some of these sets and we don't have many of them. Trust me, compared to most places, we've got very few. And what we do have, it ain't rocket science. It's pretty basic. And they are very at first they didn't understand and they don't like it, and it's natural. It's more so over the years these kids get worse about that stuff. I mean, they are so used to being free, or they're so used to being the best player on their team that if something breaks down or something ain't right, they can just go and try to score. Right? Yeah. Now it's harder to do that in the college level because guys are just better, and two, you're not always the best option anymore. You've got a role to play within. And we try to explain to them, listen, we may call 3 sets a game, but when we do, it's for a reason and it's got to be perfect. Right. And so we have to, right now, we've got to constantly hit it, see all the options, learn to make the different reads, look at every action that we're running within that set as a chance to score, but still get it ran. And if they take us away from it and somebody else cuts through, how to fill their place and still get this ran. And that's why we have to focus on it and just hammer it home. And then once we get that to where we can execute in almost any situation, then we can go back to running, playing the way we really want to play, which is, trying to get defensive stops and taking off. But, if we do that successfully, now we've got a lead going into the last 5 minutes of the game, and we may need to run some sets to just take time. Just run the clock. So because we do have some freshmen who are going to be playing a lot, not taking quick shots that they don't need to be taking, but being able to run some time and then creating something, once later in the possession. And so, they just got to learn that. And so that's where we're at as an execution right now. And again, we haven't gotten in depth on it because I don't believe in doing that actually until after we play our first game. Right now it is, we're just kind of giving them the sets to run and letting them kind of figure it out, because we want to be focused on learning how to win games on the defensive end right now. Because that travels, that doesn't change. You've got to be able to get that stop at the end of a game. Once we get into the season and we start playing games, now we start focusing, because the practices get shorter because they're more focused on who our opponent is. So we're locked into how to guard a couple of actions or a couple of different sets. So that gives us more time now that we can start breaking down how to manipulate the offense the way we want it. And that also keeps us from peaking in November. We're still going to be growing. Yes, we're getting better defensively. We're going to be, working on that, but it's going to be a little less, and we're going to be able to slowly start ramping up our offensive execution and in perfecting it to where, you hit that second week of January and you're in the conference and you're able to just now go and things start clicking for you. And that's how you peak. But that if you have a game where you're not shooting it well, or the other team's doing something to take you out of your rhythm, you can still go win the game on the defensive end because that's what you did for the first 2 months, And so that's where we are while we do that. Like I said, we execute a lot of stuff right now, but it's, believe it or not, it's with very little instruction comparatively to what it will be a month and a half from now.
Ramon, I want to get you in on the conversation. Obviously, you're in the thick of your season as well, and what Hester brought up, right? Buying into that process, everything else. You did a lot in the off season to help your kids and everything else. Can you attest to kind of what Hester has been saying in this interview?
Yep, I'm gonna throw a different hat on. Let me switch it real quick here. All right. I took off my coach's hat and I put on my AD hat, and so I get a chance to see all the different sports. And I think back to something that Kobe Bryant said, seeing players play accidental basketball. Right, I'm seeing accidental sports. Period. Like everyone, if it's football, off script. If it's accidental basketball, if it's soccer players playing away from what the scheme is, we're seeing so many younger kids just doing what they want to do. For lack of a better term, if you hear on the side of a basketball court, a parent or a fan say, "Go to work, go to work." Like, what's going to work?
Do him.
What play is that? So everyone's kind of like just doing whatever. And I think once they get to program, I think the difference in programs in high school is the coaches who can get those guys to buy in or girls to buy in to what they're selling, to what they're trying to, how they're trying to build their program. And it's frustrating. Also, something that Coach talked about, our kids, and when I say our kids, not just the kids that I coach or the kids that are under our building, but I'm seeing across high school, they can't take any type of criticism or being held accountable from their peers. If a peer tells them, "Hey, you need to do this," it is time to crash
they gotta
out.
Talk back. They got to talk back, don't they? They can't. They can't
talk back.
Take that. And this is from day one. We tell our guys, you better be grateful that your teammate loves you enough to be able to tell you the truth.
Exactly.
Because if they wouldn't be able to do that and they wouldn't do that if they didn't care about you.
And like I said, I think that's one of the biggest thing I noticed is being able to hold each other accountable, no matter the grade year.
It is crazy you use those exact words, Coach, because I told a kid the other day, I said, "You may not like me, but I'm the one who loves you because I'll tell you the truth. Yeah. And I'll tell you how to correct it also. Mm-hmm. Where other people will just tell you what you want to hear. They don't really like you or love you."
Right. They're not doing people any favors, when they do that. You have to be honest with people, and rather you slap me in the face with the truth and, kiss me with a lie, or whatever that saying is. It's like you gotta.
Let me write that down. Hold on, Coach.
Yeah, I like that.
Right. You gotta be honest, and that's why we put everything out there for them. That's why we stat. We're telling you, because basketball is a subjective sport.
Yeah.
There's not track has a time. You make the time. You're good, right? You win. It's concrete. That's subjective. Basketball is a subjective sport, and like I tell my son all the time, you just got to find a coach that loves your game and what you want to do, because it's all different, especially from a point guard perspective. What matters is that fit, right? And so that's a big part of it is just being honest about each other and what you need from each other when you're out there. And if people didn't think, it's like us, we tell them all the time too, worry if I stop fussing at you, if I stop correcting you, if I start getting on you, that's when you need to worry about, hey, I'm probably never going to play again. Yep. Because if I'm on you, it's because I know you're capable of doing better. Toby, we'll use Toby for example, is not going to get on you if he doesn't think you can perform better, right? And I'm on him now because now we have a very comparable backcourt. Got two guys that are coming at him every single day, and I'm on him about the times when he slacks up from an effort standpoint. and it's like you don't have to save yourself anymore. You gotta go hard. And he does a great job of helping the younger guys and trying to teach them and bring them on. But sometimes you still gotta check him too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just part of it. But I kind of forget where we were going with all this because there's so many things now these days that
we call it spitballing, Coach. We just spitballing.
Man, if we could spend we could do a 3-hour broadcast right here of talking about things that are wrong with youth sports and how they're going. Which when we get done right here, I need to go shortly. I'm hosting a coaches clinic this afternoon from 2 to 5 for local youth coaches. Not for the I emailed the high schools and asked them to send their feeder system coaches here, and I was asked to do this, and I've always kind of wanted to do it. So once I was asked, I thought, hey, I'm going to run with it and do what I want to do. We're not going to my team's not going to be out there and demonstrating things, and we're not going to show a bunch of drills. We're going to sit out there, and I'm going to use the coaches that come to demonstrate stuff themselves.
Yeah.
And we're going to walk them through the things that they want to know. And it's going to teach them exactly what they don't understand about what the high school coach is asking them to teach these kids. Because there's too many of them that think that they're going to get a varsity job based on how the third grade team wins. And if you are coaching youth sports correctly, you're not going to win. That's not what you're after. The kids have to learn to love the game and have a lot of fun, right? And people say, well, winning is fun. Well, also how you approach it with those kids makes it fun. I got a 10-year-old. I know what he thinks is fun. He's so competitive and he hates to lose, but by God, you give him ice cream afterward and he's happy. You know what I mean? He doesn't care about the loss real quick if we can go to Dairy Queen, but they need to focus on the things that are going to make them much more successful when they get older. Younger kids, they got to learn how to pass and catch. They got to learn how to dribble and not over dribble, but take a dribble with purpose. The older ones, they need to start learning how to screen properly. They need to learn how to play off the ball, offensively, defensively. They got to understand that not every single kid is going to play in college and definitely not going to play professionally. So, stop pushing them like that. There's things they have to know before they get into high school so that the high school coach can actually do some X's and O's and refine some of that stuff. So we're going to do that. I'm excited to do it today. It's going to be a really unique format, so I don't know how it's going to go. Let's hope it goes well. And then we got practice after that. So we got, long, crazy day today.
Coach, I got a question. I want to hit this right. You were going to my question anyway, right? I want to know, how early do you start laying the groundwork for kids in IU East basketball? So is it 3rd grade, 5th grade? Talk about that. When does this coach has to start licking his chops?
At a kid?
Yes.
Oh, between junior and senior year, probably.
Okay.
Literally, we don't have, and understand, I don't have the staff to do a lot of stuff with younger. Now, there's kids that we know, obviously, because we've seen them play at high school. And we'll go back to watch them, but we're not going to get involved and talk. Because if I start talking to you, my recruiting might be different than other people. If I start talking to you as a freshman in high school, I'm going to talk to you several times a week for the next 4 years, or until you tell me you're going somewhere else, right? That's just – and so for me to start that early is kind of crazy.
Okay.
But doesn't mean we won't go watch them. Doesn't mean
get
to know them, talk to them a little bit, dap them up when we see them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hang around and watch and talk. But when we get heavily involved and we get to that point, it's going to be between their junior and senior year probably. Before
that's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for. No worries. I can be a part-time support if you need somebody getting out to some schools.
I just put you on calling them, man.
I got you, man.
Plus, you don't know who's gonna grow, who's not. You don't know who's going to spend the time getting better, and who's not. You know, that there's too many unknowns for us. Our time is so valuable at this level,
Right.
that we can't just go out and, you know, throw offers around or spend a lot of time on kids that we're not sure. We need to see, hey, we know what we're going to get, because you're kind of done growing. You're done, you know, it's now, can you help us? How can you help us win games? And then we got to figure out your personality and mental makeup, you know, and all that stuff after that.
Yeah. Awesome stuff, Coach. Before you go, obviously, I want to make the announcement. We will be doing a weekly interview with Coach Hester once the season kicks off. The first game is October 28th. Yeah. Okay. I kept getting it flipped with the first game of the NBA. I kept getting them flipped, but yeah, October 28th. We were still debating it. We'll probably start next week. If we don't, it'll start that first week right before the first game of the year. But weekly interview with Coach Hester. It'll be recorded or live, just kind of dependent on what we will do. But it's going to be a fun year.
Ask questions, everybody. If you got coaches a fountain of information, ask questions in the chat, things that you want to hear us talk about with Coach. Please do that.
Make sure to follow his Instagram. I will also have their YouTube in the description as well, so make sure you subscribe to that. But also really follow the Instagram. Some great stuff being done by my broadcast partner, Nakori Hogue. He is driving up there every day, getting film, making content. He is really putting in the work, and I couldn't be more proud of what's going on at IU Reese right now regarding men's basketball. Coach, I know you got to leave here in just a little bit, so I do want to ask you, what are you looking forward to NBA-wise this year? You know, whether that's on the Eastern Conference or Western Conference side of things.
So I threw out a hot take at you the other day when you were here, and you didn't act like I was crazy. So that was
I think honestly the rest Daryl will agree with you as well. I don't know if Ramon will, but we'll see.
So I mean, obviously I want the Pacers to do well. I think they are going to do well. I've watched a couple of their preseason games. I think they are going to do well. However, I think their ceiling's a little lower than what it has been. But I could see them possibly making it to the Eastern Conference semis.
Okay.
You know, I think that could.
We didn't practice this, everybody. We didn't practice this.
No. And again, call me crazy, but my hot take, and some things would have to happen for this to go this way, but I could see the Eastern Conference Finals being Orlando and Detroit.
We have said that before. We said that I think at the end of the year, and I said I'm like, that's not crazy to say, because I probably said the same thing on this podcast.
Desmond to Orlando, I think, is probably the most underrated move of the offseason. I think that putting him with those guys and getting Suggs back, I just think that's going to be. I mean, Banchero is unreal. And you know, and
man crush on him. I got a man crush.
And the Wagner brothers. I mean, they're going. I think they're going to mature, and it's just going to be one of those years for them. I think Detroit is still pissed about last year in the playoffs. I think they're growing, you know, as a friend in maturity wise, because you know you have to learn how to win. Remember back in the 80s, back in the late 80s and early 90s, you saw that build up. Teams would lose in the second round. Then they would get to the finals and lose, to the conference finals and lose, and they would battle, and then they would finally get past that team, and then they'd get to the NBA finals and lose, and then they would start winning it. And it was
Detroit,
like
that's Detroit.
That was Detroit back then. Yeah, that was the bad boys. Now I think maybe the process may be a little accelerated now, but I think you're going to kind of see the same thing. I think both teams learned a lot last year, but especially Detroit, and then you know. Way too early for this, but 26, 27, I can see the Pacers being back in full strength and being really dangerous. But, you know, but of course, I think by then, Boston will be back at strength. I think New York might have a different type of player, a new addition or something like that to help them too. So it'll be a little tougher. But next year in the Eastern Conference, I can see that happen. So I'm looking forward to see if my prediction plays out. That's what I'm looking for.
We'll be chatting up all season. You know that goes.
I know.
No, I'm excited. I'm ready to get going. My hot take is obviously Spurs in the Western Conference Finals. I've been very
it's a blistering hot take. That's not just a hot take.
I've been super high on them.
That's a little.
I think the one thing that I've kind of sat with The one thing I've sat with, and I've really been thinking about it because everyone it keeps popping up on my social media feed, and it's about Houston. I don't think we're taking into consideration how much Van Vliet's going to actually affect this team because he was their point guard. They got rid of Brooks. They got rid of Green. I think it's not being from just what I've seen, what people said. I don't think it's not being talked about enough how much they're going to miss Fred Van Vliet. Now, whether that's in the regular season or the playoffs, I don't think it's being taken into account how much that's going to affect them because he was going to be the primary ball handler because Thompson, he's still not the best ball handler. Obviously, KD can handle the ball, but not having that
don't
point
sleep
guard
on
there.
Shepard, man. You sleep on Shepard from Kentucky.
Reed's more of
everybody forgot about him.
Reed's more of a 2, though, is he not?
But listen, this NBA isn't
that's true.
80s NBA, right? Everybody's bringing the ball up. They're running the sideline break pretty much for the most part anyway, right?
Yeah.
Don't sleep on that kid from Kentucky, man. I got a feeling he's going to have a great season. Think about the players he has around him.
No, that's true. I don't disagree.
He damn near can't.
I just saw it and I was like, that's not a bad point because Fred was really good in the playoffs this year for him. And obviously, you get rid of your other 2 guards. Brooks didn't play bad either. We talked about Jalen Green a lot. So
defensively, Brooks on the defensive end, right?
Yeah. No,
I
really do like the Spurs. I like Minnesota still.
You love the Spurs. Stop it. You love the Spurs.
I do. I can't lie. I do. I think Minnesota's going to be scary too. But Denver's really the team that I'm like, I really like them coming out of the West. Like overall, I really do like Denver. And we talked about it.
Like, man, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Man, he everywhere, man.
I know. The West has me. The West has me. I don't even know. West has me a little frazzled.
Coach, I hate to keep you hostage, Coach, but if you don't get off here soon, you're gonna be here till 3:00.
Yeah, I know.
No, you're all good, Coach.
I gotta get to this up here and get this clinic stuff.
No, we appreciate you, Coach. Yes, big time.
You're welcome. I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. You guys are great to hang out with.
Yes, sir, Coach. All good. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Friends, family of the GameTime Podcast, do me a quick favor. All right, reach out and get your T-shirts. If you look to the right of me or the left of me, you'll see both of my colleagues have these beautiful GameTime T-shirts.
Yeah, man, check it out. Check it out. You see it right here, the logo that you see on the pod.
What you don't see is me with one because they forgot to give me mine. So you go get yours before I get mine, all right? Because you're closer to the family than I am because they left me out. I love those two, like cooked food, but they left me out. But you know what? They won't leave you out. Contact Isaiah, contact God. You can even contact me, and maybe we'll get ours together at the same time. All right?
We might.
Get in touch with us for details. We'll take care of you.
Absolutely. Rock the Game Time.
GameTime Podcast. That is right, folks. We are officially selling shirts. If you have any interest in buying them, let us know. $20 is the price for that. We're a startup selling them, so maybe Darren will be nice. And,
maybe some flexibility. You never know. Just reach out and see. These aren't free, but hey, we have some opportunity to put our word out there. The GameTime Podcast as we continue to grow for sure.
It's all about support. So if you guys do want to support us, make sure you guys do let us know. Just something we're starting up. Just going to see how it worked. We originally got them made for the pod, but then we had a couple people reach out to me and Daryl about maybe wanting to buy some. So we were like, you know what? Why not make an announcement video? So if you're interested, please let us know, and we will see you guys next time right here on the GameTime Podcast.